There we go. Hello, everyone. Now I hit the correct button. I knew I'd get it at some point. Professional streamer, everyone. That's your streamer. Now I need to find the button for the next thing, which is here. Aha! Hello! Howdy. Hi. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Mage 211, it is good to see you. Thank you for catching the stream. Lucius, howdy to you. We also have Xbox Aaron and Ravenstar, at least for a little bit, because soon, I presume, Coffee Cat Presents is going to be putting on a Cyberpunk Red ongoing story. This current Cyberpunk Red arc is filling in for a break in the usual Wednesday Vampire the Masquerade stories that are run over at Coffee Cat Presents, and then of course Saturdays is D&D. Yeah, howdy Mage. Let me give a quick shout out to Coffee Cat Presents and a shout out to Coffee Cat Presents. There we go. All right. You know, shilling for your friends, it's always fun, of course. Well, I didn't know what was going on, Raven, but I will also shill for you because you are also a streamer here on Twitch. You do some photo editing streams, and of course, you like running through the fog in Dead by Daylight. And I also sincerely appreciate you doing some ghost hunting with me in Phasmophobia. It's always fun. No, I got you, Raven. Which I shared a fun little, a found secret in Phasmo for the Willow Street house as a way to get away from the ghost. All right. Oh, golly gee willikers, everyone. It has been a long day. I'm very tired. I was supposed to have a nap, but that didn't happen. But you know what? It's okay. I will probably also be really tired tomorrow because I need to be up early for a FedEx delivery. Because if I'm not awake to receive it, I don't get it. And it is the second part of a new desk that I had ordered. It's a little weird. It's maybe not that it's coming in two parts, but from two different locations and one day apart. I have a standing desk that I ordered. I spend a lot of time at the computer when it comes to doing social media stuff for the shop, when it comes to, well, even just sitting here and streaming to you all. And while I do have this nice, very comfy seat, I spend a lot of time sedentary in front of the computer. And, yep. And so, Mage, I wanted a convertible desk, a sit to stand, so that I can do both. You know, if I'm video gaming, probably sitting down. You know, I have a controller here. In fact, I might be playing a video game, not Phasmo, a non-Phasmo video game on stream soon, because I want to test my video card and streaming, as well as get in the mood, because I'm going to be recruiting one or two of you out there to... It really looks like we're going to be playing Cyberpunk Red on Fridays from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m. And we'll have a weekly Cyberpunk game as well. I'm talking with some of the other players that were a part of Chroma Company. I was offering them first dibs because this is kind of a spiritual sequel to that. And it's been a while since I got to roll with that crew. And so depending on how many seats are open, I will open up the rest to you all who are interested in playing on those days and times. But for doing something like streaming a workshop, I can do that standing up. Yeah, not that I would necessarily need to be on a treadmill and you'd see me going, all right, so we're going to put a desert temple over here. Oh, yeah, we're working up that sweat. We're really getting immersed. Yep. You know what? Hey, chat. 100 calories. Woo! Yeah. But you know, the workshop doesn't end until 300 calories at least. Okay. So it won't exactly be like that, but I figure by having a desk that I can have convert from sitting to standing, that does give me options where I can work on my feet, and I won't feel as sedentary or just, I don't know, just be on my butt as much. Um, and so hopefully I'll get up early so I don't miss FedEx, and they'll deliver the second part of that desk, and I will be able to put it together tomorrow. And there's a lot of other errands too, but if everything gets done in time, it'll be a seamless transition for you all to from where I am now to where the desk will end up being, and everything rearranged, and we'll go from there. And I'll definitely get a good workout because it's moving around a lot of stuff. Well, thank you, Mage. It's some little things in life, and I spent for many years I've spent so much time in front of a computer. Now at the store, I was able to actually stand in front of that computer. I have plenty of experience doing that. Sometimes you really do feel like you want to sit down, and even for this, for a workshop I can do it sitting, but if I could also be standing, why have something like this when instead, I could be circulating better. I could be having at least a modicum better health when it comes to my chosen career, an extension of it anyway. I'm sure I could get into buzzwords of whatever productivity or blah blah blah. I'm simply doing it for what I feel are my own personal health reasons. Else I wouldn't be investing in it's an expensive desk, but it's one that I need to be able to hold a lot of weight. Not because I'll be sitting on it, but with the monitor, I have like one big monitor here now that I have split out into multiple segments, and the computer I built is pretty heavy as well. So the desk had to be sturdy. It couldn't be some flimsy little, oh yeah, just go on, because I looked. I'm like, oh, there's a convertible desk for, $80, $100, $120. And, okay, if it was an office, maybe if I worked on a laptop or, I had one monitor, and I didn't need the dimensions of the desk that I do, I absolutely would have gone for one of the cheapo little, $100-ish, maybe $200 convertible desks. The one I have it is large. It can hold something like 260 pounds. Now, I won't tell you my weight. But I know this will shock you all. I might be over 260 pounds. It's not like I'm going to be climbing on top of it. I'm not going to be doing any dances. But I do need it to hold. Oh man, that computer is probably, that's got to at least be 30 pounds. I don't know. I'd have to weigh it. It's heavy. I mean, because it has the tempered glass and metal and all the parts in it and everything. And then I have this big monitor on an arm. It's not even on a base. And then I have speakers and other stuff. So I needed a heavy duty desk. I needed a wide one because I need that extra surface area, because I have the secondary cam, I have my microphone up here that I have to clip to be off to the side. I might be I haven't done it, but I might invest in an electronic drawing pad to see if I can do some fun stuff that way as well. Hey, Evil Intent, thank you so much for continuing that gift sub. That means a lot to me. And also, hi, Iron Chef Lord, welcome. So there's news there. Other news, it is Wednesday, my druids. So I hope that you all did have a wonderful Wednesday. Mine has me so sleepy. Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm not going to rush through the writing exercise because I think it'll be compelling and fun to write a backwards story. But I am ready to be horizontal. But it's also in times like this that being on my feet, after having a long day, I can still rest and be on my feet. But if I'm sitting, like the blood flow takes that 90-degree turn or whatever. And As well, I have, even though like this is a squishy chair, I lost a little height, huh? I have a real. This is a very highly recommended on Amazon. It's called Everlasting Comfort. I have a chair pad, and let me tell you, number one, I didn't know I needed this until I got it. And two, what does that say about me that I'm at a point where I'm very spry and clearly in my 20s, and I look at something like this. Now, this isn't a prescription. This is for comfort, but I sit when I'm editing videos, when I'm streaming to you all and all this, for as long as I sit, and maybe part of it could be sitting posture, but my tailbone absolutely aches. Have you all ever had that where, by the way, hashtag not sponsored. But have you all ever had that where you're sitting for a while and when you stand up, you just feel your tailbone, like in like the base of your spine, just ache, like it's decompressing or something? Maybe because it was like just shrimped up so much that now it's sort of like creaking back. Oh my gosh, I've had that a lot, and so I said, all right, no, I'm done with that. I don't want any more of that. And so when you put it in your seat, your tailbone kind of goes down here so that it relieves that pressure. And it does help, whether it helps with posture or circulation or whatever else, or it just gives your tailbone a place to jam out. It works. But I looked at it, I said, I've been using this for a long time. I had a second one at the remote office, not even at home base. And I said, what is the state of things where I know I've had this problem, and I sought out this cushion, right? A temporary measure for a problem that is not going away, but is also self-inflicted. How do I fix that? What do I do so that I don't have yeah, hi Bel Muerte. Oh, do you have a chair pad like this, Bel Muerte? But so it's, I feel like it's a situation where you eat, and I know it's not necessarily about spicy or greasy foods, but that's another indicator for the point I'm making. But you see the commercials or the ads or whatever, and it's someone who goes like just like slamming down pizza with extra spicy pepperoni. It's all greasy and then just like, oh, you're like, oh, is this guy having a heart attack? I think I can understand why. And then the whole ad is for, hey, Kelmir. Oh, Kelmir. Oh, yeah, it has been. Hey, good to see you back, friend. Oh, and your chair's very good. Yep, you gotta keep the blood circulating, Bel Muerte. And so like this guy's almost having a heart attack, and it's like, oh, heartburn, have you stop eating? We have the cure for that. And then it's for like Pepto-Bismol. And so the dude just like slams down some Pepto, and then he's like, oh, I'm good to eat again. And then just like slamming down the stereotypical greasy, spicy pizza. You see that and you just go, bro, I think I know the source of your problems. I don't think you need to medicate for something that is well within your ability to control. Whether it's portion size or the severity of the spice and or grease or just the food altogether, or are you eating it in bed so you're producing acid while you're laying down and then it's washing back up and it's giving you heartburn? I think I found a lot of other problems that don't require you buying extra medicine you have to take. that allows you to continue doing the destructive behavior. And so the the cushion is kind of like that, where it's a lot of fun, and we've done incredible things in the workshop. I've met a lot of friends and everything through this. But here's this point where I had the one. I said, "Oh, I should get another one for the other office because it really helps." And I'm really tired of my lower back aching and my tailbone feeling like it's going to snap off when I'm sitting up and actually decompressing. And so here I am. I have two of these things. I love them. They're not terribly expensive, but neither is Pepto-Bismol. And so what would be a way to address the fact that my butt aches? I'm sorry, everyone. I have very spicy takes when I'm on a soapbox, but apparently streaming to you all, despite this not being a political channel or anything, apparently I just get butt hurt every night. So how do I stop that? And so I looked at it. I said, I think this is one way to do it. And I could think of a lot of other other things that I could do. I could have a little treadmill, or I could have a little cycle or something like that too. Not that I'd have to be exercising, unless you all would like that. If you want that to be whatever, like dungeons and something, or the workout workshop. I'll get a little sweatband, and then I'll get on a bike, and then all right. So now, how you calculate CR? Whew, hey, quarter mile. We're getting there, everyone. All right. So how you calculate CR? It's split into two, right? You have your offensive CR and you have your defensive CR. Okay, each of those are made of two other things. So it's really those two averages that average into one. And then, half mile. Cool, we're getting there. More progress, everyone. So anyway, we're gonna take those two CRs and we're gonna average those together. I know, it sounds dumb. CR works, but it also doesn't. Whatever. Welcome to the workout workshop. And so now we're going to put that together, and that's the CR for your monster, which you're probably going to customize anyway, because CR doesn't really work, especially after level 10. Okay, hey, 3/4 of a mile, we got this. Let's power through, come on. We got this, chat. Give me some encouragement, please. Tell me about some ridiculous monsters you've had. All right. There we go, and a mile on the cycle in the workshop. We did it. Slam some, Gatorade, zero sugar, mind you. Dungeons and diets. Oh, there we go, Belmuerte. Dungeons and joggers. Yeah, Belmuerte, I will have to double check. My insurance policy might allow for a monthly chiropractic adjustment. It's been a while since I've had one. But my insurance policy might allow for, and by the way, for all of you who have insurance, you might as well. When was the last time you sat down to read your benefits? A lot of you probably know, okay, I get my free yearly checkup. Or if you're a woman, you get the other bonus yearly checkup as well. But a lot of us just that's the extent of it. Do you get monthly chiropractic adjustments? Do you get I don't know, some insurance providers will negotiate if you buy stuff through I don't know, some health equipment company, for a scale, or for blood pressure cuff, or it's not just for if you need diabetic strips and a reader or something like that. You might be able to get some home weights and things, or gym memberships or things like that. Your insurance might be doing a lot of extra bargaining for you. So check it out. I know I can get chiropractic, but I have no real need for it at the moment. Yeah, and I understand chiropractic is not for everyone, either physically or it's, it's a nice thing, but I understand that some people, think it's hokum. Um, yeah, some insurances cover deep tissue massages as well. And that's a part of standard maintenance. You don't necessarily need your doctor to write a prescription for poor blood flow or something in order to, excuse it as medical. It might just be covered as a preventative. So if you, if you have it, look at it, see what's there. And also, if you get it through work, talk to HR. See if there's a plan. Maybe it's 10 extra bucks out of your pocket or something for it, or just no one in HR has ever looked at it because no one at the workplace has ever expressed an interest in having anything better because none of them knew that there could be more. But look at that and weigh those costs. What if going to a new plan, either as an individual or business, if they offer tiers or whatever, what if it costs you, I don't know, purely random numbers, purely random, it's $10 more a month, and you go, oh, all right, well, that's an extra $120 out of my pocket. But what if that $10 a month unlocks a free chiropractic adjustment every month? And a chiropractic adjustment normally would be $120 per month. So in that case, you buy one chiropractic adjustment, you get 11 free. And in that case, that is actually a cost saving. So you're paying more for insurance, but you're getting more benefits out of it. That kind of a thing. Chiropractor has been a life send for me in the past. I have a spot that is more likely to come out of alignment, and the chiropractor, yeah. And there are, and so Mage, I hope you or others don't take the concept where some people think it's hokum as me, oh, it's sham medicine. It's, I might as well be drinking like pickled fetal mice as part of Chinese medicine or whatever else, stuff that happens in the world, right? It's not as perhaps widely accepted as standard medical care as going to your doctor for the blood pressure cuff, looks in your eyes and ears, listens to you breathe, and then bills you, for that. Or, you get your poke in the arm, you pee in a cup, and there you go. You get your you get your yearly maintenance out of the way. But there are people who absolutely benefit from that, for various for very real spinal issues. So, oh my gosh, what are we doing talking about this? I thought this was supposed to be Dungeons and Dragons and all this other fantastic stuff, and instead we're talking about butt cushions and and those delightful moments at the chiropractor, or you get you go like this and you get your friend to like jiggle you, and then your spine sounds like a transformer getting ready to roll out, and it feels so good. Well, you know what, Kelmir? Such are the conversations we have here, the things that we explore and discuss in life, and I'm very happy to be able to do such things with you all. So I appreciate it, because you know what, talking about this stuff does lend itself over into the realms of fiction, into fantasy or cyberpunk or other things. So, Mage, you say that you have a spot that's more likely to come out of alignment, and you can lean into your own experiences with that. You want to make a cyberpunk character, then you can make a character who has a reinforced spine. Or someone who, uh, for anything else, right? Um, so we can draw on this stuff, of course, and bring it into the fun. Or I don't know, Mage, would you, if it braced your back, would that, but you had the chance of getting the Dr. Octopus arms accidentally fused to your spine, would you do it, but you wouldn't have back pain anymore? Kelmir says, what you think of D&D 5.5? Personally, I'm loving the changes overall, especially the equipment section of the PHB and the entire DMG. And you would absolutely risk becoming Dr. Octopus if it got rid of that sore spot for you? Now, be honest with me, Mage. Do you think you'd be tempted by evil if you had... all right. Uh-huh. All right, there we go. There's always a catch. There's always a catch. As for 5.5, or I call it the fifthest edition, the superlative 5 EST, the fifthest. Fifthest is fine, Kelmir. When I reviewed those books, there's some soft power creep in them. And when I mean soft, I don't mean that, oh my gosh, Fireball, now you're throwing D8s, or, level 3 characters now have an average damage output of 105. It's not like that. There's a soft power creep by the sheer consistent mutability to the classes. Is that a gripe? Slightly. And it's not because I don't want players to have choice. Choice and agency is fantastic. At the same time, by not having the ability to be constantly respecking along the way, you face challenges that can't always be brute forced. You can face actual shortcomings, or the need to every once in a while stop and creatively think how you overcome something, instead of taking a short rest and swapping out spells or other abilities and the like. So it's a soft power creep because all of the characters can do more. The classes also felt kind of samey. Is that a scalding condemnation on fifthest edition? No. In fact, the books are very well laid out. The art is great in them, and the organization in those books is wonderful. But there are instances in the player's handbook, like I just mentioned. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, I'm very sad because there was some very compelling character creation in the DMG, in the 5e version. And now, well, I guess that would be in the player's handbook. Though there's other things in the DMG that I did touch upon. But let's go back to the player's handbook. The backgrounds are way more mechanical instead of being flavorful with a really cool ability like Shelter the Faithful or the like. Now, I get mechanically, maybe a lot of people never use those because they didn't have a hard mechanic. And if the developers of D&D are really just extrapolating data from D&D Beyond, or maybe even conventions, you are not going to have a lot of people. This is a gut feeling. You're not going to have a lot of people use things that aren't mechanical. There's no real way to invoke it or to report it, or that Shelter of the Faithful, which is an acolyte background feature, will never be talked about in excited tones at a party as that one lucky crit, or that one time, you had one spell slot remaining and you cast Lightning Bolt and it did the job. There's way more emphasis and stress that we put on that. The storyteller in me weeps that these aspects, the personality traits, ideal, bond, and flaw, all of the even all the extra stuff that was introduced in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, it has been stripped out, and the advice for your writing your background is go off of your stats. Ugh. Especially because in the workshop, the stats are one of the last things that we put on our characters, because your stats don't matter as much as who your character is, not just what the score is. So for me, Kelmir, it's a mixed bag. It's sold in the store. I don't protest it. I don't say it's the worst thing ever. Don't discourage people from playing it. I even offered it to the Chroma Company crew. I said, all right, around April, sometime in April, I wanna recruit people to play another game. What would you like to play? Do you want to continue D&D with that campaign? And if so, do you want it to be the 2014 or do you want it to be the 2024? And there was not a lot of interest shown in the 2024. I would very much like to think that the people who played in that game are a very varied group of people, and that this channel is I'm not audience captured by particular culture war trends or corporate culture trends or anything like that. And so, when the feedback was, I'm not really interested in playing 2024, I said, that's fine, we don't have to, but I still wanted to offer it in case you did want to play with they're not even called races in that book, but if you want to play with the races and classes that are available there, you want to try out the 5th edition, I'll run it for you. I don't have a problem with that. I don't feel like I'm selling out to the man or anything like that by doing it. But there wasn't interest in it, and so I passed on that, and it seems like we're going to be playing some Cyberpunk instead. Oh, yeah, and Kelmir, the way that the PHB and especially the DMG is written, with those walkthrough guides, like explaining things and then going into it later, it is very well written that way. And that's probably another reason why someone like me... Iron Chef, thank you for exciting the danglers of my goblin. That was so kind of you, Iron Chef Lord. So it's a case of those books are not for me. They're not really written for me, and that's okay. I don't need the fully illustrated tutorials. Now, I am not claiming to be representative of any group of D&D DMs, players, or anyone else. I'm not talking on behalf of stores, but I don't need what is offered in that book. Now, what's offered in the 2014 version is a lot more compelling. It is still instructive, and it's not like better because it's harder. You walk it off. Nothing like that. But the way that 2024 is written, it's informative and it's so well organized. In fact, there's rules in the 2024 that I might just selectively borrow if I ever do run a 2014 game again. Some of the rules and references, the way that, especially for, I think I pointed it out in the review for poisons, the way that things were written, where you had a hard written rule and then it gave examples to give you another reference point to compare so that you don't have a half-hour long argument over a rule, because you have the rule as written and then you have an example or two of it found in there. That was very well done. But for some of that stuff, it could in part be the tone of the books, to reflect the player base that Wizards wants to play D&D. And maybe I am not that target audience anymore. And so things, not that I ever hoped things had to be made for me. I hope I've never come across like that, some sort of like culture warrior, or I might grumble that I'm kind of disappointed in the direction that Disney's taking, but also I'm not up here as a clearly 20-something-year-old man raging that princess movies aren't meeting my standards. Like, I get that I am not the demographic of Disney, at least not on the entertainment side. I'm their, I'd be their target economically, but then also they got to give me something that might compel me to want to spend money. Or even as an economic engine, as a store, it's really tough to sell a Star Wars RPG book when interest in Star Wars has cratered, and it almost feels like it's a scandalous topic to even bring up. And that sucks, because that should never be the case. I like Star Wars. I want to sell 100 Star Wars RPG books a week. Whether or not I play the system or I like sci-fi settings or anything, I want to sell Star Wars books, because that means that people playing Star Wars are playing the games that they want to play. They're getting together with friends and family of any variety, and they're spending their time communicating with each other. That's what I want. But it's really tough to do when these various entertainment companies and publishers consistently alienate the fan base or commoditize sentiment, so that it's now nothing more than it's a consumer activity which is abandoned as quickly as it might have risen to fad fame. When that experience of watching Star Wars, and you hear blah, blah, you hear the horns, and you see that minute-long text crawl, that is a first-time experience for people that means something. Now, it means different levels of things to different people, and that's fine. But now, when that is nothing more than a marketing gimmick in order to, throw out the member berries, or, it's like, hey, fellow Star Wars fan, I too enjoy the Star Wars. All of them. Every single one, especially the ones that you, fellow Star Wars fan, who is human, also enjoys. So, here. Enjoy the things that I also remember based on your search history. I like the communication and the authenticity. And it's okay, it's even okay if recently DC put out a Harley Quinn book, and it was for April Fools, and it was a bunch of fart jokes and kind of scatological humor. Now, is that funny? I think we've all laughed at a fart joke now and again. Um, but even but um, if that was a one-off, and even if it fell flat, which I'd have to look at the numbers. I don't know if that actually did well or not. Seeing a bunch of pictures of Harley Quinn just absolutely ripping ass on every other page. Um, but even if it was a one-off, and even if it fell flat, then you look at it, you say, you know what, DC tried something. They tried something new. It didn't work out. It is what it is, and I'm just gonna go and pick up my books again next week because, yeah, it might have been a neat idea or it was a fun try at something, but it didn't work out. But against a backdrop, of consistently, why did you make this choices? Then it just is reductive or destructive or alienating, or you go, so I was buying comics and clearly I'm not, you don't want my money. I am not your audience. And you don't even have to be a culture warrior to feel that way. You say, you know what? Cool. You're chasing a market that I presume, as functional adult human beings in this industry, you've done your research. So you do that. You know what? I got plenty of comics. There's some back issues I meant to pick up. I'm gonna just disengage for a bit. Hopefully, you know what? The will cycle around and it'll come back, and I'm gonna pick up Batman again. And then the sentiment just shifts over time to what fresh new hell is this every time a title is offered. And there's some really good babies thrown out with the bathwater. And that's in the big, like the major publishers, not even just the indies, who are finding opportunities. Say, you know what, I'm going to self-publish, or, well, I never thought I'd see the day when I could make a superhero comic and I'd actually be able to compete with even the big independent, I know it's oxymoronic, the big independent publishers, but here we are. And so, if the creativity is flowing, then there we go. The culture will, the equilibrium will find its own balance. If there's a new audience that's being chased, then at some point, unless everyone who works on accounting for these companies is severely incompetent or somehow ideologically compromised, you're going to run out of money when the audience you're chasing isn't supporting you, and you're instead of doing like experimental, like you throw, like the Harley Quinn fart book was just, it's an experiment, it's a one-off, it's a fun little thing. For those of you who don't know, again, comic book full of just Harley Quinn just absolutely ripping farts everywhere, and there's also, I believe, a scratch and sniff sticker in it too. Am I clutching my pearls? Look, I watched Nick at Night, or whatever. I watched Snick when I was a kid. I get fart jokes. Are fart jokes appropriate for Harley Quinn? An entire book filled with them? So, there's a point where the fun little, like, we're gonna try something new, has shifted to, we're just pushing in this blindly, and it's just like this iceberg drifting that you can't stop until it just, like, I don't know, flips over, breaks up, or melts or something. Because there's a point in time where the audience that you want, who's not supporting you as much as you need, means that you're gonna have to go back to basics, or you're gonna have to train up the new audience to appreciate the older stuff, or go back to the older stuff, or whatever it is. And I'm not even just trying to be tactful to, not get canceled or something. I really sincerely hope that we're past the point of cancel culture. But I say this from a genuine love of stories, and I want people to tell stories. I want there to exist a marketplace and an acceptance that someone can write an entire floppy comic on Harley Quinn just absolutely, crop dusting Ivy and making a bunch of jokes and stuff. I want there to be that world where people don't like it, but you know what? Maybe we could have a laugh that it existed and life moves on. It was a cool thing to try. If it worked, it worked. And if it didn't, the company isn't at risk of needing to to sell off, major assets in order to try and recover. It's like the threshold we're at. Warner Brothers might be selling off Looney Tunes. And you just go, what is wrong? What has happened that we're just at this point in time? And can you be honest? Can you be honest in conversation with it? Even if the answer makes you feel upset. If not at yourself or at the company or at some whatever other movement at large. Can you at least be honest with yourself about what could be causing this and how to fix it? And then, because it's one thing to be a critic, there's so many critics. Everyone wants to tear down. Who's going to build? Who's going to build? You can tear anything down. You can go in there, mic drop. You make a YouTube video that throws the flashbang in the room. You slam the door and you go, ha ha, got him, am I right, chat? Those people who I disagree with really are gonna suffer now. I don't care which side it is. That is a death spiral of culture and influence. It's terrible, and the people that you are bringing up, then can't appreciate the things that you thought that you could or did. It would be like me. It would be like me. Coming on here, we're using D&D books. We're making D&D workshop stuff. And I constantly use D&D as the whipping boy. And I continually tell you all how terrible D&D is. And that it is immoral. It is immoral to play this game. And, what a shame if someone were to protest Hasbro and accidentally not have the fire sprinklers in the building work. Haha. Build an audience of people who only seek, reward, and slaver at destruction. And so then if I want to do something outside of that, because now I've been captured by my audience, because I have to keep destroying something that at one point in time I loved. This is an example. I'm not being cheeky or anything, right? I love D&D. I can also really not like Hasbro or Wizards. They can exist at the same time, But if I surround myself with people who will never appreciate any kind of attempt at creativity or expression, and everything has to be negative, I will never grow and I will never build anything, because my entire existence is to be a miserable black hole of destruction. And if I stop destroying, then I myself am destroyed, because there's nothing left to destroy. Me destroying other people and products and concepts becomes my lifeblood. And the moment that I stop doing it, I am then destroyed, because that's what's expected of me. by my supporters, by the people I attracted to the channel. Instead, I would really like to think, Kelmir, Kelmir, we're in an ad, but Kelmir is talking about building a setting. And for all of you out there, Mage as well. Talking about Kelmir and Mage as good examples. But you have those two. Kelmir wants to create. And I know that Mage is intelligent, thoughtful, and very well read. And she, if she has a different take on something or a different opinion than I do on something, or she likes something in the current D&D that I don't, that's fine. It's still awesome to know her. And I want to encourage her to continue creating. Because I also like creating, and I want us both to create. I want us both to compete. I want us both to share notes or to have a friendly rivalry, because that improves both of us. But the second you get these factions that demand conformity, it's over. Because that is all you will ever be surrounded by. That is the purity test, the purity spiral. And there's a point when you run out of other people and things that are the other, that the movement consumes itself. And we're back from ads, ? Welcome back. So I was talking about Kelmir and Mage, and after 5, you're correct. I think that's the point. The culture slammers don't want to grow. They can't do it themselves, so they prefer to be king of the ruins. So it is fine to provide critique. If you don't like an entire comic book filled with like green billowing gas emanating from the hindquarters of Harley Quinn, you're allowed to critique it, personally or professionally. And if that's your thing, either because it's innocent fun or that's your thing, I'm not going to judge you. You're into whatever you're into. Don't hurt anyone else, but you're into whatever you're into. Cool. You got to enjoy it, and I don't care, whatever. It cost DC $50,000 to make a fart book about Harley Quinn that only sold 100 copies. Take that, DC. A bunch of whatever, name. Okay, yeah, that is a financial loss. That's true. It is real. It is material. And you hope that responsible parties at that company would go, we took a hit on this. We tried something new. Like, we braced for it. It's not going to mean we have to lay off artists or that we're not going to make the next deadline for something or whatever. They tried out something and it didn't work. And you know what? You learn a lesson and you move on, but you're encouraged to continue to try new things. And so what if we go from something like that, we go from something like that where then DC goes from this just whatever, like 32-page fartacular with Harley Quinn. And they say, all right, you know what? We got a little burned on that. What if we made a book? We'll do another one-shot with another Batman character. What if we had Bruce Wayne, a series of vignettes in this comic book, which is Bruce Wayne trying all of the best restaurants in Gotham? And the juxtaposition would be what he says with flowery, polite language in the restaurant compared to his thoughts. So the waiter would come over. Oh, your Michelin star. I don't know what. Your Chilean sea bass, sir. Oh yeah, well, I'll try it, and eats it very proper, and oh, it's delicious. Light hints of this, but then you get his internal thoughts where he slips into Batman mode, and he conceptualizes the Chilean sea bass as this one fight that he had against the Penguin. And now, DC would try this kind of lowbrow, and I don't say that with disdain. Lowbrow humor, it's okay to laugh at farts. It really is, I promise. You can still do it. But they tried a fart book, lowbrow, very whatever, Harley Quinn giving Dutch ovens to Ivy and everything, right? And if they're allowed to, have that defeat and go, yeah, you know what, we tried it, people might want something else. How about we do this? Bruce Wayne tries out Michelin star restaurants in Gotham. But the catch is he's processing it as Batman, but has to express it as Bruce Wayne. And you go, that's still kind of ridiculous, but I like this humor more. It's a little bit more engaging to me as the consumer, or I like the juxtaposition, as opposed to like a not kids book being filled with the author's barely disguised fetish kind of a thing, right? And so then, in this marketplace of ideas where people are allowed to fail, they have a success and they go, oh, what if we just spin this whole Bruce Wayne, an entire series about Bruce Wayne, not even Batman? People seem to be interested in it, and we got to test the waters out. Now all of a sudden, they ate a $50,000 cost on this Harley Quinn book, and they made whatever $5 million off of this Bruce Wayne series, meaning that they can afford to try other experimental stuff. Some of it will hit, some of it will miss. But when one side says you have to conform to my viewpoint of the world, and then the other side says I don't have to conform to your viewpoint of the world, and that's all it ever is, like, that's the exchange. It's stagnation. It's death. Because now there are no new ideas. As one camp has to, oh, all right, well, because my cause is historical injustice in the United States, throughout its history, like, that's my raison d'etre. That's everything I live for. It's everything I talk about on social media. I have to draw the line on peanuts because it's classically a where are they normally grown? Like the Georgia and the Carolinas is a big peanut company or country. And so because of that, and my entire identity rests on this notion that I have oversimplified to a fault and to the point where it's my identity, I will no longer talk to anyone who enjoys peanuts because they are racists who want to enslave people in the modern day. Like, this is ridiculous levels of stuff that we're getting to. And I'm using this as, I really hope, a fun fictional example. Or, on the other side, you have these culture purists, or, whatever this guard is, like, well, Star Wars was never this Mary Sue BS, and it should be this, and it should be that. And then all of a sudden, nothing else except the original Star Wars is ever allowed to exist. And because of that, something you are holding on to so tightly, you will die with it. And there will be no other Star Wars fans. You have not brought in the next generation. You have not made compelling points. You have not brought anyone into your camp. You've only ever acted as a barrier to it, if not ostracized people and damaged things or whatever, for the injustices that Peanuts have just ravaged our lands with. And so then you have these two camps who increasingly are so caught up in each other that they destroy themselves, because now no one wants to. I mean, you'll get a bunch of people who might eat peanuts in secret, I guess, because they don't want to lose their friends or family, or they don't want their, I don't know, they don't want their house put on an internet list for being a peanut consumer. And so who wants to join that kind of a group? What does that lead to? Does that lead to actual like picnics and fun? Does that lead to movie nights? Does that lead to a wholesome lifestyle? However you want to define wholesome. People have different lines in the sand there. Does that lead to a lifestyle of joy? Or does it lead to eternal anger and never good enoughism purity? Meanwhile, you have people who go, there will never be another new Star Wars, and I will fight to my dying breath. I will shame people who want to have anything new associated with Star Wars. You are going to have an ever dwindling group of friends. As you age up, you die out. You have not replaced this joy, the things that you loved as a kid that now made you such a sternly convicted, like nothing is allowed to change ever. It's sad because you are going to die alone. And there is no one left to carry on this legacy of something you wasted your entire life on. Except maybe this person and this person got into meaningless shouting matches on the internet. And that was their entire life. That's what they spent their life and their money doing. Of all of the opportunity in life, they could have been doing anything else, spending their money on other things, spending their time growing something, developing, friendships, or getting the word out without force or all this negativity. Instead, you could be spreading your ideas in meaningful and comprehensive ways, making cool generational gap leaps. Ushering in this way of thinking, or introducing this way of thinking to the next generation who may not share it, but can understand it enough to interface and continue to pass it on, if only in slightly different ways, like we have since the dawn of our species. Have a good night, Mage. So in short, Kelmir, 5th edition, it's okay. I like it. I don't feel compelled to play it. I will absolutely run it, and I absolutely sell it. And I have many good points to bring up about the books. It is not broken. Is it necessary? That's probably where we'd have our question of exploration. Is this edition necessary? Any more than you could say, well, is Xanathar's Guide of 5th edition necessary? No. And so I think we answered our question for 5.5. It's not bad. People who play it aren't bad. It's not, and I really hope it's never levered or jockeyed as owning some other group of people. It is an option. It's a good option, but it is an option. I would treat it as an option. Yeah, or people could just create something new. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kelmir says, honestly, that wouldn't be a bad comic. There's more Batman stuff than Bruce Wayne stuff. And in some comics, it's theorized or outright stated, can't remember, that Batman is his actual self and Bruce Wayne is the persona. See? So you could explore that. We tried the fun slapstick fart joke book, which some people like, maybe a lot of people don't. Maybe it's a financial disaster for DC. But they carry on, and people are still optimistic about, well, try something new. I'm curious to see what else you have. Instead of rolling their eyes and going, what fresh new hell is this? You know? Yeah, Belmorte, because the penguin smells like fish. Something I don't get about modern Hollywood is I don't like the source material. Let's make an adaptation that completely misunderstands or ignores it. Netflix's DMC anime. That's one of that I've heard. And then, you have the Rings of Power. Apparently Chronicles of Narnia coming up has been, I guess modernized. We'll put tactfully. So it's, they're gonna do it, and again, there's a point where if more people said, you know what, this was a creative attempt at something new, then there might actually be more cautious optimism. Against the backdrop of the last several years, it is starting off from a point of negativity with no mercy shown or given to the creators, because of the years of everything else, where we went from, okay, that's a take, to now, if you don't like this as a continued standard, then you're unwanted or unneeded. And then people say, okay, I get the message, I'm gonna leave you alone. And yeah, so, and then nature needs to heal, right? Forests grow, they get overburdened. They get choked out with vines and underbrush and all sorts of stuff or whatever. And then you unfortunately have a forest fire, but that's a part of life and nature. You have a forest fire from a lightning strike or something. It goes through, rips through the forest, 20 years of tree growth gone, countless, deer and mice and birds and everything, unfortunately get burnt up too. And that's not even counting any sort of human losses. And of course it's terrible, it's quite a loss. And yet at the same time, from those ashes that go on to fertilize the ground, where the forest has dropped seeds already that were waiting to be cleared out, life begins again and the forest renews itself. And you go through that rough period, you have the downfall, and then you have vigorous growth because everyone now can see the sky. They're not competing for the sips of sunlight coming through. And then you get a whole new ecosystem as another type of tree takes over. It used to be a pine forest, now it's an oak forest. And so creatures come and go. It's a new dynamic. It grows up, it matures over time. And then the oak trees choke each other out. It happens again. And then that old growth oak forest catches on fire, burns down, millions of critters and trees are gone, and it's a tragedy also. Again. And what happens? As soon as that fire goes out, over the next 2 weeks, you start seeing seedlings and saplings and other things starting to push up. So it's okay to have those corrections, and it's okay to have your community razz on you for doing something that, you tried it, and you're like, yeah, I took a chance, or it was silly and dumb, or you go, in retrospect, I really shouldn't have done that. But if the community says, oh, sure, yeah, it was a one-off. Like, it's not like this is your entire attitude in corporate culture, right, DC, with this fart comic? Where we're only going to ever expect this in the future. Instead, everyone moves on. It was a one-off, and maybe it goes up to be super high in value because there was only ever the first print. And 20 years from now, just as the oak trees replace the pine, people are going to say, I can't believe DC... And I don't know if any of you have this fart comic book, If you do, you might want to hang on to it, because there might come a point in time, and it could take 10, 20 years to do, where people are going to say, at some point in time, DC actually made an April Fool's joke with Harley Quinn just ripping ass on every page. And if only out of morbid curiosity, or the fact that it would be so scarce, because it's not like it's going into 10 prints, okay? That it becomes a $20, $30 collector book. This is not financial advice. I am not promising returns on this. However, I would be willing to say that an issue like that would be more likely to be a time capsule style comic book. If you have one, I'd consider bagging and boarding it. If you can afford it and you want an extra laugh, whether or not you found the humor in the book to your tastes or your sense, your senses, get it graded. Get it graded and get it put in a plastic container for funsies, right? Comic books are fun. We're here to have a laugh. So go out, get your version of the Harley Quinn Fartacular April Fool one shot. Send it out to get graded, okay? For fun. If you're constantly being disappointed by others that you had relied on for entertainment before, it's up to you to make fun. It's up to you to tell the stories. So yeah, you have to pay the grading company to grade your fart book for Harley Quinn. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a talking item, a point of curiosity, where you can brag to your friends, I have a 9.8 grade on my Fartacular book. And you know what may happen over 10 or 20 years? That book that, you picked up for a couple bucks, and you did pay to have graded. What if that is now a $50, $100 book? And in fact, you would have had a hand in increasing the value because you made the novelty of that disastrous comic. You actually made something in the face of that ruin. You did it. And so not only did you have fun doing it, you made money doing it too. And if not Joker or the Harley Quinn, who has the last laugh? All right, this is what we're going to do, everyone. And yeah, Evil Intent, old gives way to new. And after Fav, I'm going to take a quick break to stretch my legs. When we come back, I'll start on the story. And hopefully the approach to this story, whether or not it's anything new under the sun, I hope that the approach to the story will be novel enough to give you some fun ideas of your own. As I really hope all of these workshops act as those little seeds to grow after the fire, or to grow in just untended fertile fields or something, right? So yeah, give me like 5 minutes. We're gonna go to a break screen. I'm gonna get up and stretch my legs. I'll be right back as I have everything set up to review the characters, the story, and I'll show you how we're gonna go about plotting it. right, everyone, I have returned. I hope you liked our pleasant springtime. Ooh, pardon me. You can tell I had a soda. Our pleasant springtime scene. And it is time to get back to things. All right, so we had a really good conversation. I hope you all did enjoy it. Evil Intent, After Fav, Kelmir, Mage went to bed, but I hope that she enjoyed it too. Bel Muerte, I hope that my my examples were able to be followed, but also, I guess in their own weird way, didn't off-put people like I was complaining about entertainment companies doing. You know, because I can feel passionate about things, but I think there's a reasonable course to take through it. That provides opportunity for a lot of people, that encourages communication to a lot of people. So, hey, Rosewolf, good to see you. Thank you for coming by to hang out. We're going to do a bit of a writing exercise, Rosewolf. If, I don't know, I heard that you might enjoy a good story every now and again of the book-devouring horde. But Bell and others, I hope that my impassioned talking was taken in in good faith, and I made good points about it, and that I don't come across as just some cranky old man on the internet, because I'm way more than that. I can be, but there's more to my existence than just that, and I can hold some simultaneous truths at the same time too. Not everything is mutually exclusive. All right. Anyway, it is time. We have some things to review. I have the website up, and this is, I guess, a bit of a tease because, of course, theherozone.net and blah blah blah. You know this. We have all these BTTV emotes now. What I want to discuss with you for the purposes of this writing exercise is reverse chronology. If you haven't heard of it, maybe you have. You might have read books that use reverse chronology. Of course, the Aeneid here is the primary, like the old classical example. But if this is where we have ended up, instead, why don't we pause here with the idea of ending up at reverse chronology, and let me bring you up to this point, because we should review why I'm even considering reverse chronology as the grand finale to our campaign building exercise. And I'm going to do that by bringing up there we go. It'll show up for you in a minute. I need to there we go. And then we got to turn this on right about cheer. All right. In the beginning of the story, we made 4 characters. Now, based off our first character, we knew that they were all going to be level 17. Epic level in D&D 5e. We statted them out, and over these 4 characters, we ended up with a pretty interesting epic level, nature-themed, evil party. The story writes itself. And we had a moment to sit back and go, okay, what can we do with this? What's the direction that this is going to take us? In fact, let's get some music playing in the background as we're discussing. Okay. We made the 4 characters, and including concepts of them. We went through and we made a setting. So the super gist, epic level characters, a consistent nature and religion, and themes of nobility and responsibility. And this is taking place in a desert underdark biome. You can read the other aspects here, and I'll get them posted up onto YouTube and Rumble when I can. But and if you're watching them now on those platforms, hi from the past, which is currently now, even though it's the future we're talking about. But what we made was this, which was the very simple map that let us develop our adventuring area and give the 4 characters we made an awesome backdrop against which they will politic, against which they will adventure, against which they will do a lot of things. This map, very simple, easy to recreate. I used MS Paint. Ooh. And yet it's very readable, and it has every element that we have generated. Including, because the setting is being made... there is an independence to it, but with a consideration for the characters, as we should do as DMs. This is now a big playground for a bunch of stuff to happen. So, now you know we have epic level characters, and now you know that we have a city of sin found in the desert. A jewel brought to life through death, through sacrifices to an ancestral demon. That has been downplayed or has become conveniently ignored, that people have to go missing in order for the water to keep pumping up to the surface. And now, this city that was its own little independent area has been caught up in a war between the Drow and the humans. And the war, of all things, isn't done by destruction. Not the way that you'd expect it, anyway. As these are 2 different factions, perhaps of the same god or goddess, one of nature. And so in order to win favor, in order to prepare the land for this god or goddess's arrival, these 2 factions of the faith are warring through terraforming. And so instead of burning the crops of the locals, they grow the crops of the locals. They do a lot of things that bring even more apparent abundant peace and such, because what that does is that makes the locals reliant. Why do you have to go tend the farms in the desert when all you have to do is pray to this nature god for a bounty or some such, right? And all of a sudden, these parts of culture about working or providing nourishment or various whatever these people have as far as family roles or societal roles are completely upended, because now abundance, this sort of life that never would have been possible is made even more possible. And there's an even greater devil's deal that is overcoming this sacrificial fiend who kept the water going at this, well, it was a backwater area, and now it has the Gleaming Dwarf, a very popular brothel. It's a bit of a, we'll call it a free economic zone for people passing through, selling all kinds of things. So it's a city of sin and vice. It's found in the desert, and it's built on some ambition and sacrifice, but not necessarily personal sacrifice. Cool. You with me so far as we're catching up to the beginning here? When the beginning is the end as well. So we bring this down. We made our settlement. So yay to that. We also went through and we we made a party character sheet. I showed you different ways that you can conceptualize or visualize this or write it out, whatever's easier for you. We went over the concept of a SWOT report, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So now we know what the party looks like as a unit, as an entity itself in the world that will be thrust against all manner of friend and foe alike. Then we took one other character building or character development exercise, and that was in the form here of not going through the mechanical part of the party character sheet, but the fluff. We had our synopsis of the characters. We had their personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws written out here, because we went through an exercise that actually, if I stretch this one out, how do I get this? That's probably in view. Side to side. There we go. So as you can see, I had 3 last time. I don't know what happened. Anyway, we have our characters, and we were going through an exercise to connect aspects of them. Because while they are evil, and evil doesn't tend to always work together in the best ways, as individuals, there were ways that they connected with and through each other, such that at least as a party of 4, they were coherent enough to continue on this adventure together. Even if they may have had other goals or they had shared pain, which brought them together despite their dispositions or necessary expressions. And we also went over how, if you do this exercise, how you could extrapolate campaign ideas for the setting, for NPCs, for villains. It's all here. And all you had to do was talk to your friends and say, hey, you want to play a game of D&D? Tell you what, here's some very simple parameters. Make some characters. In fact, you know what? Make a 17th level character. I want you to have fun with it. And bring your characters to me. If we need to touch something up, we will, but bring the characters to me. So, the players went out, and through collusion with each other or sheer coincidence, we have the party we have, and they did the work. We're sitting back as DMs going, well, we're just waiting. And now that we have the character sheets, they did all the work. We're simply just getting it together in a simple report format. Because now we can sit back and look at this spreadsheet or other, however you wanted to form it, and say, you know what? I see it. This is all coming together, because then you unfold the map. And then you go back and you look at your notes. And you're looking at this stuff, and it's coming together before you, and you know that the players are absolutely comfortable with concepts like this because it's based on their characters that they wanted to play. It's a organic system. It works so well. Now, there was a concept brought up above after Fav was talking about, nothing new under the sun. And, I mean, what's more under a sun than a desert, right? And what we come up with may not necessarily be the newest idea, or, thematic-wise. But it is... it is a fresh approach. And sometimes if we're so in the trenches, simply doing something differently gives us an entirely different perspective. I've been playing D&D for a long time. I want to continue playing D&D for a long time. Which edition? Well, I've played several now. but I like the stories. I've heard a lot of stories. I've told a lot of stories. I've ran a lot of characters. I've explored a lot of topics. So if I'm going to sit down and say, all right, yeah, let's play another game of D&D, how do we make sure it's not just another game of D&D? This is where you get the meme of someone's first level character being the mechanically coherent bog standard elven ranger, dwarven fighter, or like a dwarven cleric, male human fighter, stuff like that. Because the thrill is in using these abilities for the first time or finding interesting uses for them. By the time that you've played D&D for 20 years, and there are some of you out there who've played even more than I have, I know it's weird to think about. I started in 3rd edition. You go, all right, well, I mean, I've played the clumsy ditzy one. I've played, Slab Bulkhead, the himbo that everyone loves. I've played, I've played. Then I had my exotic races arc where I played a goblin or a lizard man. We go through these because as we understand more and more, we're seeking the challenges, right? Well, I'm going to propose an idea to you, especially because we made epic level characters who might just be in the need of getting a morale boost. And that is going to come in the way, and now you're going to be able to see what I've done, and that is going to come in the way of... Oh, not that. You think I would be good at this. There we go. It all comes full circle to reverse chronology. And by the way, Wikipedia should never be a primary source. It's fine for researching other things. If you're doing a report, don't list it as a primary source, please. Do yourself a favor and whoever would be grading your papers. In a story employing this technique, the first scene shown is actually the conclusion to the plot. Once that scene ends, the penultimate scene is shown, and so on, so that the final scene the viewer sees is the first, chronologically. Many stories employ flashback, showing prior events, but whereas the scene order of most conventional films is ABC, a film in reverse chronology goes Z, Y, X, etc. A narrative that employs reverse chronology presents effects before causes, asking the audience to piece together information about character motivations and the plot and encouraging them to ask themselves questions like, is this why she acted this way? Scenes set in the past are interpreted in light of information the viewer has already learned from scenes set in the future, giving the audience a degree of narrative agency. The epic poem Aeneid, written by Virgil in the 1st century BC, uses reverse chronology within scenes. The action of W.R. Burnett's novel Goodbye to the Past moves continually from 1929 to 1873. The Long View by Elizabeth Jane Howard describes a marriage in reverse chronology from 1950s London back to its beginning in 1926. Edward Lewis Wallant uses flashbacks in reverse chronology in The Human Season. The novel Christopher Hom by C.H. Sisson is also told in reverse chronology. Philip K. Dick, in his 1967 novel Counterclock World, describes a future in which time has started to move in reverse, resulting in the dead reviving in their own graves, old birth, living their lives in reverse, eventually ending in returning to the womb and splitting into an egg and sperm during copulation between a recipient woman and a man. The novel was expanded from Dick's short story, Your Appointment Will Be Yesterday, first published in the August 1966 edition of Amazing Stories. All right, you can see that there's more. There might be names that you all have any of you read Slaughterhouse-Five? Was that a high school book for any of you all, or even just reading? Curious. So you can see there's a lot here. It's gone over into film. By the way, I highly recommend this film. I highly recommend Memento if you have not seen it. Please take this as a personal recommendation that Memento is a really good watch. All right. After 5, you read Slaughterhouse-Five? All right. So you get the idea. There's an episode of The X-Files about it. Even a C-Lab 2021. For a few seasons, the revived Doctor Who had an extensive storyline. So you get the idea. We're going to go back in time. We're going to go through time. And there's a couple different ways that we can go about this as a DM presenting a story. Let's bring up this. And let's bring up this. There we go. Now, this line might look very familiar to those of you who have seen me plot stories before. In a sense, these are outlines, but instead of being written, we simply draw them. You know how I talk about the midpoint method, where oftentimes we have awesome ideas. All right, so we start out as the son of a prominent farmer in rural part of the kingdom, and then we overthrow God in an epic conflict with dragons and a lightning storm. And then you say, well, what happens here? How did they get from here to here? What's the highlight moment? What's the midpoint? And then we go here, and then we go here, and we ask the same question. What's the relevant moment where we have gone from this point to this point? And now we're getting more details without stressing, because we're making a coherent story bit by bit that works together, because we're solving things one problem at a time. Now, after you do this, we've actually, kind of like the Vietnam War Memorial, we start from the center and work out. And if you're not sure what that means, look up the artistic inspiration for the Vietnam War Memorial. It's based on a quote with that concept. So we start in the middle and we work out. However, we do see that, boop, there we go. Now, what we could do, and by the way, there's another way to do this if you just have a blank line and you don't want to use midpoint. You start with something like Goblin's Attack, and then you just ask, why? Oh, because their leader sent them, who lives in the cave. Oh, why? You find out that the leader is under orders from a corrupt member of the king's court. Why? The court member, wants to overthrow the king and claim the throne for himself. Why? In the corrupt baron's past, he was made fun of by the king, and this is a childhood rivalry. Why? Well, going back even further, we discover that his family was placed under a curse by an evil wizard. Why? Well, the evil wizard was as such because he was playing the long game and wanted to have generational control asserted over time and slowly, so no one ever suspected him. Why? And we can keep... You see how all we do is we ask one question and look at how we're advancing things. And in a sense, if you're ever writing a mystery as well, that's kind of what reverse chronology is you're trying to figure out everything that led up to this point. If you're writing a murder mystery, the beginning really is the end, because we know that someone has been murdered. Oh, shock. I know, I spoiled it, everyone. The murder mystery is that someone got murdered. Damn shame. So, I should have said spoiler warning. However, the adventure is working out the mystery, which is nothing more than this series of questions. Why was it the butler? Why did the butler use a knife? Why was the knife in the greenhouse? Why blah, blah, blah. And we work through it that way. So in this case, though, the beginning is an end, and the story is actually going through the series of events that led up to this, so that we could prove our case, convict the murderer, and whatever, go from there, right? We play games of Clue, we read murder mystery books, we see movies, etc. Now, how can you represent this in D&D? Where you just tend to present these flowing scenes to your live audience of players. So it's not exactly, I wouldn't say Memento is not an editing trick, but there are things you can do where the audience is simply a bystander, because all they could do is be presented what you show them on a page in a book, or on the film, on the screen with a film or whatever else. They're along for the ride, and hopefully it's an entertaining one that they can deduce along the way. But when your audience is live and contributes, how can you explore this idea? And there's a few ways. One, we can simply make this a mechanical issue. Mechanical issue? Well, what does that mean? They're already level 17. So is this just going to be a 3-shot? And then they're going to go 18, 19, 20? You could do it that way. That's viable if you only want a short story. But everything is set for lessons learned, tales of morality and humility, fighting against powers that are ever greater than you. So how can we back that up? What if your reversal of expectations, your reverse chronology, is actually in the power level? We often talk about leveling up. Hey, congrats, you beat the boss. I want you all leveled up for next week. It goes to 1, I promise. You can't see it, but it does go to 1 over here. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. And so now we see that over the course of the campaign, that while the stakes are rising, the danger is rising, our power level diminishes. If I threw you into the setting and I said, here, have fun in the sandbox. It's a city of sin and vice. You're level 17 and you're nobles. If anyone questions you and you really want to, you could make that person disappear and be turned into plant food. And no one would bat an eye. They might even be grateful that you fed the crops. You can make any decisions you want. Do you want to go to the Gleaming Dwarf Brothel? Do you want to have questionable trades in back alleys? Do you want to hunt down this old fiend cult in order to dispose of it in the rightful place of your god or goddess? Who's gonna stop you? If everyone here are level 0 commoners, hell, if everyone here is a CR5 town guard or something, right? Who's gonna stop a party of 17th level characters? You all are nobles. You are imbued by this god or goddess with great power. You have unlimited money, unlimited funds. What do you do with it? What is your great, what do you want to accomplish? And in fact, if you wanted to even be a tease and go a little bit longer, you could also do this, where you kind of pull a fast, kind of a fast one. Anyway, follow me, right? We start at 17, and then you quickly, however that means for you, they actually increase in level. And then here, maybe this is where they fight. This is where they fight that old fiend, and they actually overthrow this fiend that took sacrifices to be replaced by the nature goddess. Okay? Now follow me on this. In its dying breath, the fiend curses those who overthrew its long reign. And now, over the course of the rest of the story, the curse manifests. And what you find by doing something like this, let's look at a concept. Let's say that everyone in town was even a level 5 character, okay? The PCs start here, get even more powerful, and by the end, anyone in town can do to them what they could do to anyone in town. Meaning they live at the mercy of strangers, because now they're destitute of money. Now their powers have fled them. Their influence has waned, everything bad because they got the bad whammy from this old god of the fiend of the desert in its death knell or whatever. It cursed them. How do you have an awesome redemption arc if not having your evil characters who abuse their powers and were full of hubris and hubris and feelings of conquering and being superior are now knocked down, needing to build their own connections, needing to use the power that remained in them wisely because they were only ever going to lose it more and more, needing to find safe houses from people who would trust and believe them even after what they did in the past. Or what if this happens? The people start out here, and everything that these evil nature worshippers wanted to do happens. The people adopt the culture and the power, and so the culture of evil becomes more prominent. The power that flows through the people and the goddess becomes more prominent until finally you have evil characters in a good society now living inside an evil society filled with good characters who are also weak and strong. Every single one of these ideas plays into the concepts of nobility, the concepts of doing right for the people, of finding oneself, of challenging family and god or goddess alike. Maybe even realizing what we've been doing. We thought we were just giving people easy mode, the ingrates. We're growing their food. We just cause it to come up out of the ground. Everyone is fat and lazy and happy. Everyone is worshiping our goddess. You know, they owe us this. And now that they don't have this and they have to learn the value of cooperation and hard work and resource management, it humbles them. It knocks them down a peg or 17 to 20. And your players who maybe presumably have also been playing for a while, they don't just want to have the standard, all right, just smash a bunch of goblins, kick in the door, beer and pretzels, or all right, we're going to play the fighter, the wizard, the rogue, the cleric again. This is our 10th game doing so, but hey, at least Larry's an elf this time instead of a half-elf. Hey, progress, Larry. Trying to mix it up for you, you know? But this isn't even an advanced way to play. The story still plays out over time. It's a weird kind of reverse chronology because now the players understand what has happened to every other society that their noble / religious parentage has done to these people. And finally, they have to live as those people did. And which would then lead to a fight against the great powers. But how do you take down a level 20 whatever angel or something, whatever the aspect of a nature god would be, right? How do you take down a CR 20 angel if you're a party of 4 level 1 characters? Well, you spent this entire campaign making connections, laying traps, bribing, coercing, forgiving, of making friends, finding help, such that now that this terrible creature of full, nature's wrath and manifest, I have given you nothing but ceaseless life. The crops have flourished. And now it's time to reap what has been sown. And maybe this is a part of the cycle where this an agent or the goddess or God, his or herself, manifests, and in payment for years of unlimited corn growth and unlimited fresh water and an easy life, everyone is turned into nutrients in a sacrifice, and this cycle continues. Maybe everyone except the chosen, except the farmers who prepare the fields. This is also why these families continually move and even continually fight for this favor, because they don't want to be reaped. But we don't find that out until the end, because we start off in a position of privilege and are ignorant. That's the twist. And so now, maybe as level 1, banding together, having set traps, having learned lessons, having found morals and values, maybe that gets your levels back through something. But you could still have a ton of fun, because look, you're a level 1 character and you have a kaiju of a nature goddess or god walking through town. You are an ant. So what can you do? You can run unnoticed until you finally do make enough of a presence. How do you do that? Because you set a bunch of traps, because you've coordinated attacks, you've gotten the locals banded together or whatever, right? Maybe you even bring about that old god you banished. If you don't want to give up your evil ways, that could even be a moral point along here. The devil comes back to make a deal. I'll help you overthrow this god, but you must serve me. I'll give you great power, and I'll set you on a road that you were on before, but you serve me, and I'll save you. And if they reject that, they have to rely on others, and might even have to be willing to pay that ultimate sacrifice in order to save these people that they once held as beneath them. Does that make sense to you all? Do you see how a storyline like this can work in this kind of, yeah, I can do math today, Bane. What's up? And also, hi, Melodrake Gamer. Efterfoff says, in a game I had a oh my goodness. You bow to no one, Bane.
Months and you divide it by the cost of dia in China. How many dragons does it take to get a TPK?
I would just say 1, Bane. Did I do that correctly? Yeah, but howdy to you, Maladroit. And Bane, that's right. Is that referencing something that happened tonight, Bane? Do you have a confession as we're talking about power levels and morality and finding humility and humbleness from the heights of depravity and sadly no, but I also haven't thrown any real. Oh, okay. One day though, Bane. One day you shall earn that trophy. I did throw 4 fiends at my party last night. They got messed up. You sent a message, right? Did they learn something from that encounter? Are they ever going to do this again? But does this make sense to you all about how you can employ, in a living storytelling format of having participatory and decision-making audience members, how you can still embrace this concept of reverse chronology? You may not be able to get the fancy edits like Memento or Slaughterhouse 5 or other books, because there you're a bystander just going along for the ride and maybe figuring things out along the way. But this is a way that you can have fun, because now you have to lean into a lot more strategy. And for the most part, you're still pretty powerful. And it may not be... it might sound foreign, because not a lot of you, if any of you, have ever done this before. We always are like, oh, what's the new power I'm going to get next? And you hem and you haw and you balance. Have you ever tried wondering what you're going to take away? Because now when you're living on more and more scarcity, you have less spell slots, less powerful spells, less hit points, less armor class. Then maybe the challenge of the game is presenting itself. Choose wisely, because you are on this road. You were cursed for your actions. You are going to lose levels. So how are you going to overcome these challenges? At first, it's not a big deal, because you hit 20, or even if you started at level 17, I'm level 16, and the town guard is maybe level 5 at most. We're fine. We got this. The story continues, and they may even still be working for this evil nature goddess, for this to maybe get the curse washed away in service to this goddess. And then they finally reach a point where they realize that nature is quite cruel indeed, and there's no going back, maybe unless they make that devil's deal at some point. We have morality, we have conflict of faith and family, we have ways of developing romance or other social links. We have ways of exploring the setting, and the setting will only ever be more intimately explored because it has to get more street level. I'm sure you've noticed in games you've watched, listened to, or been a part of, where you become more detached from the world the longer you play in a D&D campaign. I don't need to start in my farming village where I was the son of the prominent farmer. I have teleport. I'm going to go wherever I want. I have all these fantastic spells. I have 300 hit points. I don't care. And so these heroes of the lands in other games actually grow detached from their worlds. They grow apart from them. They may be acting on that world's behalf, but the little village, that's not the life for you anymore. It doesn't have the adventure, the treasure. It's not the same, because now you have a Superman problem where you come back into town and you're a level 20 fighter. If you sneeze, you might actually kill a villager passing by. Not literally, I hope, but you get the idea. Of course, there is the fun idea of being the level 20 adventurer that retires back to the home village and runs a tavern. So anytime there is trouble, all you have to do is just pick the person up by the collar and boop, get out of here. Because no one can take you down, right? But here, with this concept, you return to that small town life. You have to get to know the orphans and the widows that you may have even created. You want to talk about some compelling roleplay moments. You want to talk about a character, hopefully not the player, a character learning selflessness. Seeking mercy instead of dispensing it on a whim. Finding oneself if they have been abandoned by who they thought were people of faith or family, or even friends who stayed on this path, saw the power vacuum and rose with it. So they would actually be the top. Maybe those friends were jealous of the party, of the noble party, saw the opportunity. There could have been betrayal along the way, and now the friends are the powerful ones. And we have these conflicts. This keeps the players on the edge of their seats. This puts together the entire arc of the story, of the morality, of the purpose of the faith, the things that have happened over all these years. Because you're getting them in the trenches. They're not starting there with a gritty, level 1, 4 level 1 party members versus 2 goblins or something, right? They're starting up here. They can kill indiscriminately. Laws have no meaning to them. They're epic level. But now it's getting more and more real until finally it comes time for them to overthrow the god as the farmer. This keeps you, as the storyteller, as the weaver of the prompts and the feedback, on your toes, as well as your players, because have any of you out there ever played in a campaign even somewhat like this? And if you have, awesome, I want to hear about it. And if you haven't, is this just a bunch of baloney? Or have I presented a compelling point that perhaps you've never thought of before? Would you ever, if you haven't yet, would you give a story like this a try? Where you knew that that on your milestones you were actually going to level down? And as the player now, you're riding along and there's almost this morbid curiosity. How's this going to turn out? Well, there goes 9 more hit points off the top. There goes 1 more to hit. But it's not punitive because it's a part of the story. It's a part of the challenge. Remember in that first segment, for those of you there, when I said, when I was talking about CR, when I was on an exercise bike at the stand-up desk. Oh yeah, so CR is really wonky. It's made of 4 things that are actually 2 things, just a bunch of averages. Anyway, CR doesn't really even matter past CR 10, because after level 10, everything just kind of goes screwy. Woo! Oh man, we did it, chat. We did our lap or whatever, right? Things get screwy after that. So right here, CR is whatever anyway. Because things just get ridiculously easy without fights resorting to, well, this is a CR 20 creature. I have 4 CR 20 characters, and they just 2-rounded my big bad evil guy. Because then you go, oh, I need a CR 27 creature. And it's the same creature just with a lot more hit points. Maybe it does more damage, but you haven't really meaningfully changed anything except those very fungible numbers. This makes CR spicy. This makes CR very spicy. It becomes more and more relevant as the game goes on. That's why you don't mess with a tavern keep, because he used to be an adventurer like you, but then took an arrow to the knee, taking down a pantheon. That's right, Awkward Mancer. Yeah, awesome cosmic power. Itty bitty living space. Yeah, PM it to me after FOV, please. They asked to harvest parts. They wanted to harvest parts of fiends, and so you threw fiends at them, and the parts almost became the player's parts. Well, the character's parts. Hopefully you didn't actually summon a demon in real life to destroy your players, or the Satanic Panic has a lot more credibility than I would really want to give it credit. But by lowering the power level, you are raising the stakes. So the stakes are still going high as the power goes low, because you're getting more fun. It's not as fun to just step on an ant as it is to hunt a deer, as it is to hunt a tiger with no armor or modern rifles or dogs. It's like you and a spear or something. Than it is to just survive in the wild with a loincloth and your wits. There's a lot of fun in the challenge, and particularly to a seasoned group of players, this kind of reverse chronology can do wonders. It promotes cohesion and teamwork. I don't know if they'll be evil at the end of this game. You might have redeemed them in very meaningful ways. But it's fun, and it's a natural way to progress it. Not gonna lie, I would love to play in this campaign, but I ain't gonna run it. Now, at the same time, too, the energy level, so the disparity does maintain this, but the energy level is also high, because how many times have you been told by your DM, I want you to make an epic 17th level adventure, and we're going to go up from there for a bit. And so this immediately grabs the interest. Yeah, an epic adventure. And then you could pull the trick on them where they go 17 ding, 18 ding, 19 ding, 20. This is it. This is the BBEG fight at level 20. This is the old fiend of the desert, the original one to whom the native tieflings were making sacrifices to bring the water up through the earth, to give people life. And it's up to you now. Claim this place for your nature god. Not in sacrifice of lives for water, but your god can bring forth waters from the land without that sacrifice that you know of. And so you get to level 20, boom, you have this awesome, it is this 4v1 against this, just beast of a fiend. And then they get cursed. And then the real fun begins. This was tutorial stuff. And then the real fun begins. And you might go, all right, well, so mechanically, I get that they don't want to just pick fights with people, or they have to watch out because fights will be picked with them as society gets more evil. What can I do if they're continually being powered down? Reward teamwork, reward ingenuity, reward traps, reward connections. Remember, why would we do this? Look how social our party is. Oop. Oh, that wasn't the right one. Where are you? There we go. Charisma is tied with con as our highest stat in the party. On average, right? We have all of the charisma skills covered. This story leans into the party's strength while also challenging their weaknesses, giving them opportunities, and threatening them. Because we looked at the SWAT report. We looked at the party as a whole, who they are, what they do, as well as the bonds that the characters that the players through their characters would make with each other. We want to reinforce those bonds. We want to get them from disparate flavors of evil into a cohesive unit. And also, you can supplement, while their individual power is waning, you can supplement them individually with magic items. So here, they might start with it, and maybe in the curse, they lose their items. Oh no, it's a Metroidvania. Either they have to go find it again, or their items were cursed and destroyed, but they still have just raw power if they just go to a... What's a shopkeep going to do against a level 16 wizard? Nothing. She's going to walk in there and she'll take what she wants. Maybe she'll pay for it because she's still a noble. She has money, so it doesn't even matter. But we have that decline, and then they have to go and find these old relics of the desert. They have to learn about the people and the history through it. It humanizes these people more that were treated as insects before. And you can have some fun where, you know what, by the end, they're all level 1 characters, but they're wearing power armor with power swords and power boots and all this other stuff, right? And so they're individually weak, they're stronger as a team, and if not for all the things that they did along the way, they wouldn't be able to stand up to power incarnate. So it keeps the interest, it keeps the flow of missions. Oh, you hear a rumor that in the temple, that this old fiend temple that you overthrew, it was rumored there was some cursed bracers of armor, or something along those lines. And so you go in there, you explore. Now, yeah, you're rewarded with a lost level instead of a gained level. But however, those bracers are better than what you had before, and so your stats don't slip as much. You've perhaps made more connections along the way. You found some more wealth that was your own and wasn't just taken from you, because now you've been lumped into this cursed group where you've been stripped of your possessions. Maladroid says, I have an aversion to playing epic level characters. For instance, we have one campaign where we all ended up having to fight a Tarask for a challenge. I personally thought, what's the point? I'd rather play with we developed character flaws. So for me, I don't know that I'd run something like that. And that may be, although Maladroid Gamer, I'll tell you that the pitch to this concept makes fun of that idea. You're starting at an epic level where money and spell slots and all this, it doesn't even matter. We have these 4 disparate evil characters. So it feels shallow. The entire place is their playground. Now, of course, they're the players along for the ride at the notions of the DM, but you actually then find the point and you hone in on it so that by the end you actually have camaraderie. You have flaws, and you've felt the pain of those flaws. And you've been redeemed for them as well, and not just in a backstory. The closest I tried to this, players getting to high level and then starting a new party to deal with their former characters. And that kind of campaign succession plays into this notion as well. Where in the next game, the players have to live with the consequences of their previous one. Well, there we go. Was that a fun exercise? You have a little chart. It looks like I'm doing like physics projections, and I have like a cosmic blast coming out here, and we're doing all this. But really, gonna teach you this technique? I don't believe so. I don't think this is in the 2014 or the 2024. But you might have seen actual plays that do this or heard tales, or, as we said in reverse chronology for writing in filmmaking, you do get that kind of media. This is a way that in a living storytelling system where your audience are participants and not bystanders, that you bring them along for the ride as you're going back to tell the story. You know how it ends, with a bunch of powerful pricks looking to spread the power of their god or goddess because they don't want to be harvested. We didn't know that at first. We had to go back to learn it. Ta-da! Jazz hands. I don't play D&D to deal with the consequences of my actions. What? D&D is not group therapy for you, Sierra Echo? Come on. Come on, Sierra. Now, out of curiosity for you all, this is an informal poll, okay? It seems like I'm going to be running Cyberpunk Red as an ongoing campaign Fridays on the channel starting at some point. Maybe not this month, but at some point. Hey, DQ, good to see you. If I do that, as a way to kind of brush up on cyberpunk language and lore, would you all out there be interested if I ran a cyberpunk playthrough on the channel here? It would let me test out the card and the rig on a highly demanding game. Like Phasmo, you can run in a pretty mode, but it's not as demanding as Cyberpunk would be. But would you all be interested in coming along this role-playing video game adventure if I played through Cyberpunk 2077 on the stream here over the course of, I don't know, how long would it take? A week? 2 weeks to get through? Maybe? Lurking while making dinner, says Heretic. So, I don't know. What do you think? Awkwardmancer, Sierra Echo, DQ, Bane? Who's out there? After Fav, Kelmir, if you are, Bel Muerte? Would you like to come along on a cyberpunk adventure? You'll at least lurk? You don't want to help me make decisions? And play some filthy corpo or something or another? We'll be the filthiest corpo, Awkwardmancer. Come on. Search your feelings. You know this to be true. Would love to, if it was a different night. Oh, you'd love to play in a cyberpunk game with me, Bel Muerte? Me playing 2077 as a video game would be just nights. Like, we just spend, you know, Wednesday through Saturday, we'd load up Cyberpunk, we'd go through it together, we'd run the missions and go from there. Joke's on you, I have no feelings, says Bane. Well, you know what, Bel Muerte? At some point, I'm sure we'll get to play something together. I would like to. And besides, you and I have some chatting to do on the side about some other projects and ideas. And just because I'm running Cyberpunk on Fridays, doesn't mean that I'm stopping Tuesdays being our time for running little 3-shots or short stories that I've done actually with Cyberpunk, Call of Cthulhu, Everyday Heroes, Alien RPG, Awkwardmancer played in that. And VTM is an ongoing series of short stories where we'd play for 3 Tuesdays at a time. So I'm keeping Tuesdays open for different games, short games. I have this itch inside me to tell a longer term story. Does it have to be a 4-year one like Chroma Company? Not necessarily, but I also don't want to do a 3-shot. I want something with, you know, with more oomph to it. I still need to play more of the video game, says Batispada. I'd rather see you agonize over the decisions yourself rather than watch a random raid send you off on a homicidal rampage like a bad trip. Awkwardmancer, what's more cyberpunk than getting hacked by a group, by an external group that raids my ideas and has me do just that? That would be the most meta thing. Yeah, you are in a VTM game with specs. I'm always interested in watching whatever, but my work schedule, yeah. Long-term games are fun. I've wanted to run one ever since I finished Chroma Company, Bel Muerte. I would love to see a longer campaign. I'd love to get into a longer form RPG. Been too long since I got in one on Start Playing. Well, I've talked to some of the veterans left over from Chroma Company, and I will be putting out a solicitation this month for 1 or 2 of you all to join me at a table of cyberpunk. So with us having finished this exercise, maybe I could start a Cyberpunk playthrough tomorrow. We'll see how long it takes. That'll buy me some time to get the solicitation out to you all. If you all wanted to throw your hat in to see if I'd choose you to step up and play at this at the table. It would be done through the Discord, and we go from there. It's quite cyberpunk, granted, but if you survive one such event, you'll be loading up on ECM, ECCM, and tinfoil hats to boot. Oh, what's the unrelated question, Maladroit? You say it like I don't already have a supply of tinfoil hats. You good, Maladroit? Or did you have a question to ask? Oh, there we go. I once played a D10 based well, maybe proper to some, paper game where it was based on modern life, i.e. guns, etc. They did realistic damage. For the life of me, I cannot find a base for it. Any ideas? Because it was amazingly fun. This was 30 years ago. A D10 based, like, pen and paper game, you mean? Well, that wouldn't be modern D20, because then that would be a D20 game. But that was third edition D&D with guns and cars. So 30 years ago. Was it something in the World of Darkness? The World of Darkness, with vampire and mage and stuff, you can still be a human, but that's a D10 system that had guns and katanas and other stuff that you'd find in real life. I'd say GURPS, but I think GURPS is a D6 system and not a D10. There might have been some old edition of BESM, BESM, Big Eyes, Small Mouth, which is an anime-style role-playing game. I think the old edition of that was Tristat. I don't think that was D10. I think that was D6 Tristat. Covert Action, but that's D100s. Yeah, World of Darkness or Fusion. No, it wasn't as far as I recall. We were regular people dealing with H.G. Wells and this time machine. Yeah, or a stripped down Shadowrun. HG, that might bump a little bit into 7th Sea, which is kind of Renaissance era, post-Renaissance, kind of swashbuckling style stuff. There's not a lot of technology, I'd say, so I don't know about H.G. Wells and Time Machine, but there was a D10 keep system that that Seventh Sea ran, and there were firearms and stuff in that. But again, that's more Renaissance era, like low fantasy, historic fantasy setting. Oh, was that it? Did DQ get it? Was it Aeon? Maladroit? Ding, ding, ding. Do we have a winner? Oh, it was low fantasy? Okay. Yeah, I wish I was better help, Maladroit. I'd like to think I was able to name a couple good systems, you know, both from common to uncommon and maybe even a couple rarer ones, but requirement to actually listen to you, the tinfoil hat. Oh, it's still going on with that. Sierra Echo knows the only difference between conspiracy theory and truth is 6 months. Well, what we're gonna do, everyone, it was worth a shot. Maladroit, are you on our Discord? Are you on our Discord still? You can ask in our mentor channel, and there might be more people on our Discord who would be able to get back with you on that, okay? Because there's just a handful of us here and now, but on Discord, it'll get in front of more eyes over a longer period of time. What we're gonna do, it's just, it's a freckle past a hair before midnight. I'm gonna go take you into a Cyberpunk Red game run by Coffee Cat Presents, featuring members of the community. So come along with me to this adventure in Night City. You know, besides Coffee Cat, you'll recognize the other players here. This is an ongoing story that Coffee is running. You can get a hint and a flair for what you might see in the game that I run, and maybe we'll do and maybe I think we'll do some Cyberpunk play here to really graphically test the rig, and also to get into this mood of Cyberpunk, the culture, the slang, to help prime me to do what Coffee Cat is doing right now. Well, let's go into the raid. I'll see you over there. I don't know if I'm going to be awake too much longer. It's been a very long day. I'm very tired. And I have an early morning as well. But if I can, I'll answer questions, and I'll post some memes and stuff too before I go to bed. But I'll see you for now. This was an awesome workshop to finish up. Thank you all so much. And let's have some video game fun starting tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. I hope you realize how incredible you all are.
Going to be able to talk because to hide her identity, she has literally removed her lower faceplate.